In today's video, we're going to discuss how simply changing your ball position is going to affect your angle of attack and your swing path. Make sure you check out this video. So clearly a higher ball flight. Welcome back to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today in the swing studio. And today's video, as I mentioned there in the intro, is all going to be about how the ball position is actually going to affect your swing path and your angle of attack. Because so many golfers are really working hard on a certain change, but maybe there's an easier way around it. Maybe just getting the right ball position for you is going to help you change that swing path or that angle of attack. If you're new to my channel, you haven't already, I'd love you guys to subscribe to the channel just to make sure you never miss any more content, at least 2 instructional videos a week. If you hit the little bell icon, it just notifies you every time a new video goes live. So, ball position, I often get the question, what is right? And I think most coaches have a ball position system that they like to see from club to club, but actually what's right for you depends on the golfer, depends on your path, depends on your angle of attack, your ball flight, your launch angle. So it's easier to tweak the ball position around your mechanics, around your swing. And that's what I'm going to discuss today, how changing that ball position a little bit can affect how much you're hitting down or up on the golf ball, depending on the club you've got in your hand, and the path, whether it's traveling more to the right or more to the left. So that's going to really start to affect your shot shape. If you're someone who, let's say, is hitting too low a ball flight, while moving the ball a little bit further forwards in your stance is going to help mean that the angle of attack isn't so steep, the launch conditions are going to be a little bit higher, so maybe a slightly more forward ball position would help for you. If you're someone, a right-handed player, who's struggling with a fade, a slice out to the right of the target, actually moving the ball back in your stance may help you a little bit. And that's where I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with the arc of the swing and playing the ball on that arc. And I'm just going to use just a pool noodle, something that I can bend just to demonstrate that a little bit. So if we imagine the ball was sitting more, and I'm not going to be able to balance it on the pool arc there, and we said that was the center of this arc shape that I've got on the ground. If I move that ball back in my stance at all, and I wouldn't be going this extreme, but I move that ball a couple of balls width further back, the club would actually be swinging more to the right-hand side for me as a right-handed golfer. So if I'm swinging on a perfect in to square to in arc, so I'm swinging on a nice approach this way into the golf ball, we're never actually swinging down the target line. That is a real misconception. The club's really only traveling down the target line for such a fraction of a second. So the club should be swinging on an arc shape, something along these lines. If I move that ball back in that arc, the club for me as a right-handed golfer will be swinging more to the right, i.e. more in to out. So that's going to help me hit more of a draw shape. So if I'm someone who's struggling with a fade or a slice, by moving that ball that little bit further back, my path is going to be encouraged to go more to the right, more to in to out. And that could help me start to draw the golf ball. And the opposite, if I move that ball a couple of balls width or a club head's width forwards of center, that club is actually going to be traveling now more to the left. So if I have someone who's struggling with a hook, I want that club actually working a little bit more left of target. And that can be a misconception. And it's almost the opposite way around to perhaps how you'd think it. But if you want the ball to be bending to the left, the club's got to be swinging more to the right. This is for a right-handed player. If you want the ball to bend more to the right, you need the club to swing more to the left for a right-handed player. So it's almost the opposite direction. So the club going left would curve it right, the club going right would curve it left. So they're almost the opposite way to what you'd think, but moving that ball position is going to start to affect your path. And I'm going to demonstrate that, but it's also going to start to affect my angle of attack. So moving the ball more forwards in my stance is going to help mean that I'm not striking downwards as much on the golf ball and could help hit that ball a little bit higher. For a better player, how you may take this to the course is depending on what shot shape you're trying to hit. If I'm trying to hit a fade, it's easier moving that ball more forwards, and it's easier to hit a high fade, so I'm likely to hit less down on it and actually get that ball moving a little bit more left to right. So what I'm going to demonstrate here, I'm going to play 3 ball positions. So I'm just going to mark where the ball's going to be positioned. And I'm just going to use a tour stick that's going to go between my feet pointing at the golf ball. So you'll be able to see I'm not going to adjust my stance around it, I'm just going to move the ball position. So the first one is going to be in line with the tour stick that's going to be relatively centered in my stance here, just forwards of center, and level with that tee peg. And that's going to be my first shot. And we'll look at the angle of attack and the path. And then what we'll do is just move that ball a little bit forwards of that, try it again, and then we'll move the ball a little bit further back and see how that changes the path and the angle of attack. So I'm going to hopefully aim just to hit 3 shots if I can hit half decent ones. This is a mid-iron, this is a 6-iron. So that felt very solid. Just on the left half of the green there. So on that one there, I got a path that was 3.8 in to out. So the club swinging more to the right of the target. You'll see the data up on the screen. And my angle of attack was 7 degrees, 7.5 degrees on the way down. Okay, so it is a fault of mine. I really would like to see a more minimal angle of attack than that. But if I now try moving that ball a little bit further forwards, let's see if that reduces the in to out path and reduces the angle of attack. So that was where I played the original ball position. So I'm going to keep my stance where it was, but I'm just going to move that ball a couple of balls width further forward, so almost 2 balls forwards of where I played it before. I'm not going to adjust where I'm set. I'm going to almost set up in the same position and just go ahead and hit one. I'll just move myself marginally further back just so I can actually get it on the launch monitor. Right, let's hit this one. So that ball is clearly nearer my lead heel. Let's go ahead and hit one from there. So clearly a higher ball flight. So I'm guessing the angle of attack is going to be less on the way down. And we actually saw a ball flight where the ball started more to the left, bending more to the right. So more of a fade shape. We'll just see the data. So instead of 7.5 degrees on the way down, it was 6 degrees on the way down. So the ball launched higher. And instead of the swing path being, I think it was 3.5 or 3.7 in to out, that was out to in by 0.2. So it actually gave me a pretty neutral swing path by moving the ball further forwards in my stance. So what that would tell me is if I am hooking the ball, struggling with a hook or too low a ball flight, for me, having the ball a little bit more forwards in my stance would make more sense. What you should be getting from this video is there's no right and wrong. You've got to understand your mechanics, you've got to understand your ball flight. And then it's a case of finding what's right for you as the player. So what I'm going to do on this one, that was my normal ball position. And this time, rather than moving the ball 2 balls width further forwards, we're going to move it 2 balls further back in my stance. So you can now clearly see the ball is closer to my trail foot than my lead foot. What I'm expecting to see here is a lower ball flight, but more of a right to left shot shape. So more of a draw, more of a hook. Let me go ahead and hit one and see if that works out. Clearly a lower ball flight, definitely more bend to the left, missing target, left of target. And that one there was my steepest angle of attack, so 9.8 on the way down and the most in to out, 5 degrees in to out. So we saw a bigger curve to the left of the target. So if I was someone who was struggling with too high a ball flight, maybe the conditions are such that I want to keep the ball flight lower, or I want to get that ball moving a little bit more right to left. Maybe your fault is a fade or a slice. Moving the ball a little bit further back in the stance is going to help you. So what I'd encourage you to really do is experiment. I'd experiment a little bit on the range, keep the same club for a minute and just play slightly different ball positions and see what happens. See where the ball starts, where it curves, the trajectory, how high it is. You don't need a launch monitor to tell you that. It's great to have that feedback, but you can see it visually. Okay, so you can really start to understand what is better for me and perhaps how I could start to change that ball position when I'm on the golf course to change my shot shape or the ball flight that I'm trying to hit. It doesn't have to be complicated swing changes. Sometimes it can be as easy as moving the ball position around. If that video has helped clear up a couple of things, hit the thumbs up, share it with as many golfers as you can, and don't forget to subscribe. Cheers guys, we'll see you soon.